My short-term goals was just was getting back in, and I was real anxious to talk to Brandon about fighting. I showed up to one of his shows. I wanted to make sure I got home. I actually went to a treatment for 3 months, 96 days, and I wanted to make sure that I took care of that first, and continued training and continued staying sober. And when I did that for a couple months, I showed up to the fight, and I knew I wanted to fight when I saw Brandon, and we kind of talked about it, and he threw out the Baesman fight, and that's the kind of fights I want. That's a fan-friendly fight, and I want people to want to watch me fight, and after this fight, they're going to want to watch me fight. I've known Brandon for a long time. He sponsored me back in the day, and he's a real good friend of mine. He's been there for me from the beginning, and I fought for him a couple years ago, and it was a great experience for me, and I was actually doing real well with my struggles at that time, and I fell off ever since then, and I burned Brandon a couple times. This is honestly kind of a living amends to me, coming here doing this fight and kind of making it right. I've burned a lot of people, and I do what I can to make those things right, and I'm trying to do that with this fight, and my fans as well. I've had fans show up to watch me fight, and I wasn't there. So I got my head on straight, and I've been training hard, and I'm ready to fight now. With my drinking before it got bad, I would always take at least 8 to 10 weeks and not drink. And the Pete Sell fight, I was 10, 12 weeks out without drinking. And each fight it got worse and worse. It got closer and closer. And I remember actually being in Chicago 5 weeks out from the first Kung Lee fight. And I'm out there drinking and partying, and I did jump on my training and didn't drink from then on out, and ended up beating Kung Lee. And I think my head actually got a little big. It's like, man, I could still party. I could still do this and win fights. Well, my drinking got a lot worse. I stopped taking the 6, 8, 10 weeks off before a fight, and it showed in my fights. My last couple Strikeforce fights, I actually was detoxing the week of the fights. You leave Tuesday for a Saturday fight, and I didn't sleep like 3 nights in a row because I was detoxing from my last, before my last loss in Strikeforce. And it was all I can do just to make weight, just to make 185 pounds. And now I'm walking around fighting at 170. It's going to be a pretty easy cut for me. The day of the fight, I'm going to be 299 days sober. That'll be the absolute longest period of sobriety I've ever had. So I think it's going to make for the best fighter. My fighting style is power. I can knock anybody out with my left or my right or a kick. So and I can absorb a lot of punishment too. So if I'll take 3 to give 1, but that one's going to be a lot more damage than those 3 punches I took. I think people definitely underestimate my skills. I was doubting myself half the time walking into the cage, not with a clear head, and why am I doing this, and what am I doing? But so I think there's a lot more to be seen as who I really am as a fighter. Baesman does have a tough style. He has one of those styles where if it goes the distance, he's going to win the fight. He's going to outpoint me, and I'm aware of that. He's aware of my power, so it's kind of a cat and mouse game. I just got to get my hands on him and finish the fight, not try to outpoint him. I'm aware of that, so I know I got to get in there early and get my hands on him, cut corners. I've been working on that, on angles and stuff like that, and just not getting too frustrated. He's actually, for him, I'm a good matchup for him because I can sit there and absorb the punishment, and I got to be aware of that, and I got to engage him and get to him before he does this, the fancy spinning back fist and the good kicks he has. He does have some power. Not all of his punches and kicks he throws a lot of power. There's a lot of show in that, but I got to make sure I get my hands on him and make him pay for the mistakes he makes. There's definitely going to be excitement in this fight. Baesman, although he does keep away and try to outpoint people, he's a crafty fighter, and he's a brawler, and he's going to have to get in there and go toe to toe with me, and it's going to be fun. My prediction's a knockout, and I've been working with some great striking coaches, Crew Rick, and I'm going to cut angles, and I'm going to get my hands on him and knock him out.